Welcome to Chris's Granite Paradise. For the first few days of February here in northern Colorado, this was sure a nice day to go for a rock hunt. A longtime friend of mine from the local rock club invited me to go along with him to this area. It's about 20 miles or so northeast of Fort Collins. It's on farmland, privately owned. He's had long time permission to access the land, and we've gone out there. Oh wow, I bet you we've gone out probably a dozen times over the years. Today we'll be looking for agates, maybe some petrified wood, and definitely a lot of Unakite, Epidote, interesting granites, quartz, etc. First, Alan is going to give us a wonderful explanation of the geology out here. Then we'll spend the rest of the afternoon doing some good old-fashioned rock hounding together. Sure glad you can come along with us today.
We're out at northeast of Fort Collins, where I got permission from Anadarko Petroleum and Power Tech, who own the underground uranium, to rock hound here starting about 2007. Added it for club permission about 10-15 years ago. During the first summer or two I was out here, one of the Power Tech people stopped on the road and wandered over to ask me, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And it turns out he was a geologist, and he explained to me that this is an area of 60-foot deep gravel. They even thought about harvesting the gravel for road building or pad building. And it had come down from the White River Formation, which is one I haven't heard of. It must be out on the Prairie and in spots. And it had been reworked. So it's a mix of everything that came out during the Laramide Orogeny, starting 70 million years ago. And you can't quite see it from here. Maybe you can. If you're going pan to your left and look. See there's a car going by? You can see that in your video?
It's probably in my video, but
okay,
I can't see
well, in a moment, I'm going to say now. And when the
Oh yeah, I'm on the car now.
Okay, right about now, that hill might be 6 miles north. If not, there's another one you can see. The 6 miles north of here, which Power Tech also owned, it gave me permission to hunt around. And it was the White River Formation with similar material, but hadn't been reworked. So this stuff apparently came down, creeks, rivers, whatever, formed
From
layers.
the ancestral Rocky Mountains?
Yeah, from the current Rocky Mountains.
Oh, okay.
Then apparently got moved around some more and buried here 60 feet deep. So that's the geology. And so it's a mix of all kinds of bizarre stuff. Granitics, like this rock here, which is some sort of heavy-duty, quartz, maybe metamorphic or maybe original, who knows. And then also there's a lot of chalcedony, which comes as Jasper or even Agate if it has pattern to it.
I saw some Jasper.
And there's some petrified wood, although I haven't found any today. And there's a lot of epidote. It's a secondary mineralization, occurs during metamorphosis.
A lot of epidote. That's what I most pick up.
And just hucks of quartz and miscellaneous garbage rocks that are all nice.
60 feet deep though. All right, well thank you, Alan.
Your question of what kind of geology we have here.
Yeah, awesome. I very much appreciate it. When Alan says the club, he means the Fort Collins Rockhounds. That's our local rockhound and mineral collecting club.
If you're still rolling, I'll show you the artifact I found a minute ago. It was very rare. I found 70 trips out here. I've only ever found one arrowhead and very few artifacts, and it's legal to collect because it's private property.
Private land, yeah.
I've got it on an inside pocket. I'll hold it out so you can see it. That is a piece of chalcedony. Maybe you'd even call it an agate because it has a pattern to it that someone has turned into a tool. It has a notch in it, like they might have actually tied it with sinew to a stick or something to use as a cutting device. So good enough? It's
cold, so lots of inside pockets going on today.
Yeah, the temperature dropped from the 70s to 40 while we were coming out here. They blew the forecast.
Totally. It's 3 below zero, not far from here, so we're on the edge of.
But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna keep on. So we're out on a long walk, looking at lots of rocks. Some of them I've seen a dozen times already, but there's new material like that.
Do you actually recognize the rocks as you're walking by?
No, there's no way the memory can. It's very rare to recognize. I know where I've been, but I don't recognize any of the rocks. Because you're looking at tens of thousands of rocks in a short time, and you're just looking for something that catches your eye. Either because it glows a little or has a nice color or pattern to it.
That's the essence of rock hounding. It is in the eye of the beholder. Which is why I've told you guys before, I get along with all different kinds of rock collectors because very few people are looking for boulders like I am.
Are you going to carry any boulders out today? Or
I have one in my pack.
Oh, you good. Okay. So here's a piece of chalcedony. It's not very good, but that's what I'm mostly looking for
Oh, it is a
polishing.
little agate, yeah.
Yep. So we're
Nice.
shooting a long video, and I guess you can edit or use or whatever you want to do.
Yep, thank you so much. I appreciate that Alan mentioned the Laramide Orogeny and the uplift of the Rocky Mountains, which you can see off in the distance occasionally when I look in that direction. But you can imagine as that was taking place, massive amounts of erosion were taking place at the same time, and so countless rivers, present and past, meandered across this land, just depositing, he mentioned in this area, about 60 feet of beautiful gravel, and it's used as farmland. But you can see as I walk along here, there are many areas that are quite rocky, really just miles of rocks. Well, here's my first little splash of color of the day. Just a tiny piece of Epidote / Unakite, or somewhere there in between. Different from many rockhounds, I always keep my eye out for the interesting granitics. By granitics, I mean any kind of plutonic igneous rock. Crystalline granite, of course, is the main one. And I always pick up the quartz and things of that nature. Most of the time I leave them behind, but it's always cool to look at them. Remember that I worked in the granite countertop business for much of my career, and so those types of rocks hold a particular interest for me, since my whole backyard is built out of it. I really like to find the granites that have a nice tight grain and the crystals are well formed, or an interesting pattern, or a combination of colors. This is a really nice piece. We'll see it wet here in a little while. I'm sure it's a pretty bright splash of color for the garden. Those of you who know me, you know that I'm visually impaired, or legally blind, as some people call it. And so Alan was asking me to try to describe to him how I see these rocks. And so he would point at a little agate on the ground, and I'd say, oh, I'd never pick that up because it doesn't register to me. I do best with either bright colors or strong patterns. Those are the two things that trigger my eyes as I'm walking along. For example, these bright green Unakites and Epidotes, I can see them fairly easy, and so I was picking them up pretty much one after the other. Some of them, I would say, are kind of a gem quality, but most of them are just yard rocks. And of course, as you who know me know, I have a lot of yard rocks. Conglomerates have always been a favorite of mine, and in this area, I've found a few that are gem quality. Beautiful pebbles in a very hard agatized matrix. This piece seems really hard, and yet it has these chunks of softer sandstone mixed in with it, which I thought was very interesting. And here I came across what is probably my favorite find of the day, or one of them. Beautiful green crystals, large crystals in a white matrix. And it has that nice flat face on it that could be polished.
So this is what a possible moss agate looks like in the wild, mostly with a white rind on it, which is kind of a form of opal from
yeah,
I don't know if it's moss, but it's got definitely chalcedony inside. So I put the rock grinder and cleaned it up and see if
the rock tumbler eats everything. So all told, we were out there about 3 hours, made a pretty good haul in terms of rocks. I think, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is at least one of my favorites for the day, in the sense that it's large, it's a nice even matrix with beautiful, huge green crystals, and it's got a nice flat side on it that I can polish someday. And I also found another beautifully angled, faceted rock. It's a perfect tetrahedron. which means that it has 4 triangular faces, and they're all about the same size and at about the same angles. It's got one crack in one end, but I would probably just grind and polish 1 or 2 faces on it. At this point, it's hard for me to tell if it is a red jasper with quartz veining or if it's a very unique red granite. And let's not forget all the beautiful epidote that we picked up, along with some interesting granites, this large conglomerate, some unakite, beautiful pieces of quartz, along with a few other unique finds. And I had mentioned that Alan and I have gone out here several times in the past, and I want to show you guys some rocks from other trips, but they're from the exact same field where we just were. Here's that beautiful conglomerate again, and some jaspers with nice veining. Of course, a few granites, lots and lots of epidote and unakite. To me, that's what I most end up picking up is the greens because I can see them easily. This is a very unique piece of hematite-rich sandstone, and just the way it almost looks like it was stalactites in a cavity at one point, and then they filled in with calcite or something there. So that's one of my favorite pieces. And we will round out this video with a walk around the Tree of Life sculpture, which is the new home for these rocks I just showed you, as well as the ones I already had. I will let you know the pink rocks around the perimeter are local Poudre River rocks, and those are just the border, but all the other rocks are from the farmer's field where we were today. On a final note, I want to give one more huge shout out to Alan, and thanks for him taking me out there all these times, and especially today. And I also want to mention that he has a giant rock tumbler made out of a truck tire. I will ask him if he'll let me do a video of his process at some point, but he's very generous. He tumbles all these rocks that he collects and he gives them away at the rock club meetings and so forth. So this has been an awesome day. Thank you guys again for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe.